I had 2 new leaves grow on my bed of paradise. One has unfurled fine and one has not, which means the one that isn't is stuck. This is of course a humidity issue and I'm going to try and fix it now. To help this leaf unfurl, I've grabbed a clean cloth and run it under warm water. I'm then going to wipe up and down the leaf trying to help it unfurl. We got halfway there, but I'm not done yet. To stop this issue from happening again, I finally got a humidifier. I like this one because it has heaps of different settings and also a remote. I popped it under my bulb and the leaf started to fully unfurl really quickly. Consider this your sign to check the humidity needs of your plants. Happy planting! If you want to create your own indoor jungle but your natural light is just not giving, it is time to grab an LED full spectrum light. Grow lights are the perfect solution to keep your plants thriving year round and in any room or any season. This Philodendron Pink Princess is at least 3 meters from any window, yet she's absolutely thriving. This 10-watt grow light has a clip so you can attach it straight to your pot or to a shelf. It also has its own timer and is dimmable, so it's perfect for if you're traveling as well. The white is so cute, she is aesthetic and functional. Let's chat about all things pot plant, focusing on the importance of using pots with drainage holes and why nursery planters are your best friend. I plant all of my plants into nursery pots. I then slide these into my decorative pots. If the decorative pot has holes as well, I use a saucer. If not, I just put it straight in the decorative pot. This is for all sized plants, large and small. There's a few reasons why I do this and why I recommend you do as well. First up is drainage. It is so important that your plants can drain excess water properly. This is to ensure they don't get issues like root rot and also so oxygen can get to the roots as well. Overwatering is the #1 plant killer and this helps to stop that. Another great reason to use nursery pots is they are super malleable. This means when it comes to repotting a plant, it's easy to get them out. The nursery pots and saucers are also fairly affordable, so you can size up your plant's pot without changing the decorative pot. Some pots like unglazed ceramic and terracotta also absorb water from your plant. The plastic planter is a layer of added protection so the water stays in the soil and in your plant. As well as draining water out, you can also let it in when you're bottom watering your plant. Let's use some spider plant babies to make new hanging plants. Spider plants are one of the few plants which I think propagate just as well in soil as they do in hydro. This is because the pups come with roots ready-made. Making new plants is super easy. All you need to do is snip off the little spiderettes. You don't need to let them dry out like you do for some propagations, and you can push them straight into your soil. You can push a bunch together to make a fuller plant straight away, and you want to keep these fairly hydrated so they can form their new roots. These make such great hanging plants because they grow really long, and they also make these little spider babies which you can leave on or take off. Here in Australia, I keep my spider plants outside year round, but if your climate doesn't suit this, you can keep them inside as well. I love these plants because they are low maintenance, fast growing, and they are also great at purifying the air. As well as providing little babies to prop, they also flower. Here's one of my favorites in my collection. She's a beauty. I am team misting houseplants. Where I live gets to over 40 degrees Celsius in summer, and let me tell you, both me and my plants need a cool down. Misting can help cool your plant and increases humidity, even if only for a moment. It helps to deter some common pests like spider mites who do not like a wet environment. Misting is also a really good opportunity to get up and close and personal with your plants to make sure there's no pests or issues. And whilst not all plants like to be misted, like the begonia or peperomia or any plants with velvety leaves, plenty of them love a mist and I really love doing it, which is important as well. Watering globes are so handy to have if you are a frequent traveler or a little bit forgetful. Here are a few of my favorites and how I use them. For the wine bottle hack, I've got a terracotta spike that it sits into. This is great for bigger plants and lasts for a few weeks. For my smaller, more delicate plants, I like to use these glass mushroom globes. There is a bit of a knack to them. You have to push them into the soil quickly and straight up and down. You do it quickly so that a little bit of soil clogs the opening to stop water gushing out. You also don't want them at an angle because the water will also come running out quickly. I opt for plastic outside both to stop any fire issues and also so if it breaks, I don't have to worry about my sweet old hound's little feet. These really are so handy. If your plant is thriving 1 minute and then the next minute is losing leaves, has changed color or has stopped growing, it's time to check for pests. Pests like thrips and mealybugs like to hide under the leaves, so make sure you check each and every leaf. My ficus was looking a little sad and on inspection I found scale on one of the leaves. Scale is pretty common, but it's also really easy to get rid of. You can just wipe them off with a cloth or a Q-tip soaked in alcohol, or like me, just use your finger. Make sure you check each and every leaf because they do like to hide, especially in any leaves that may have curled. After removing all the little pests, you can see we're not done yet. Next, I like to pop them in the shower and rinse them off really well. This is the top and the bottom of the leaves. It's a good idea to grab any plants that were nearby, even if they look totally fine, because they may have transferred. Blasting the leaves helps to remove any little residue, leftover bugs or eggs that there may be. Next up, grab your favorite insecticide. I like to use white oil. I find it's really effective and also helps with leaf shine. It's also fairly cheap and accessible. Next, just give your plant a really good spray down. Make sure you do it under the leaves as well as on top, and we're done. Super easy. I'm a big fan of using neem oil on my houseplants. It's organic, made with neem seed and a vegetable-based agent. A good brand of neem oil will contain organic sulfur, proteins and beneficial trace elements and can be used around pets and people. For my houseplants, I use it for natural leaf shine as it keeps the foliage lush and dust-free. It's also a really great product to use to help deter common houseplant pests. You can dilute it and spray it directly on your plant's leaves, or you can add it to water and use it as a drench and pour it over your soil. Make sure to wipe it off after you have sprayed and keep your houseplants away from direct sunlight for a few days afterwards. Let's set up a super cute propagation station. For my plants, I'm taking cuttings of the Philodendron Brazil, Begonia, Scindapsus, Monstera siltepecana, and I've also got some string of pearls. I have 5 vessels going onto my propagation station here, and to keep them in check, I'm just adding some little rubber stoppers. You can slide these on before and after each of your glass vessels to make sure that they don't move around once you've got it set up. I'm using all 5, which is a little snug, but this would also look cute with just 3 on it as well. As a little disclaimer at this point, because it is curved glass, I recommend you keep this away from windows. As you would have learned in school, curved glass turns into a magnifying glass and can in fact start a fire. Now back to the plants. Once I had these spaced out how I liked them, I added in my little propagation cuttings. Although these plants are all different and have different propagation requirements, they also have a lot of similarities, which is why I'm putting them together. For the differences, the Philodendron Brazil, Monstera siltepecana and Scindapsus all need a node to propagate successfully and root, whereas the begonia and the string of pearls will grow roots from the base of the cutting. As for propagation prep, none of these plants need to callus first, so they can go straight into the water. I'm adding enough water so that the bottom 1 inch of the stem is submerged. Be careful not to push too much of your cutting down. If the plant touches the bottom of the glass or too much of it is submerged, it can rot. I've had this propagation station now for 8 months. I've only changed the water completely once in that time. In between, I just fill it up as needed. I've never had an algae issue with these, but I do find that the water absorbs pretty quickly because it is quite a small vessel. Here's a little update at 3 months in. You can see that all the different props here have all rooted. I have in fact already planted some of these since this video. Have a look at these beautiful roots and let me know if you want any more propagation tips for these plants or any others. If you're not a fan of this setup, I highly recommend getting these super cute mushrooms. The colored glass stops algae growth, so they're functional as well as cute. I have them placed all around my house and they are often my most commented on vase. This is your sign to get into propagation. If your water propagation has failed and you can't figure out why, stick around for this video. There's 2 common reasons why, and the first is the base of your cutting is touching the bottom of your vessel. You want the bottom of your cutting to be suspended in the water so that there is plenty of room for the roots to grow. The second reason is that your propagation may have fallen into your vessel and the leaves and stalk are getting wet. This can lead to both the stem and the leaves rotting. To fix this issue, you want to choose a vessel that is longer than your cutting is so there's plenty of room for the roots to grow, but also not so wide that the plant falls into it. Opting for one with a cork lid with a hole with it is a safe bet. Let's style some different shelves. As well as adding houseplants, of course, I like to go in with some books, a humidifier, and some glass vessels. I love the mix of having plants and wood and ceramics. This shelf is super easy to put together as it comes pre-assembled. It's also really lightweight, so I've moved around my house a few times and also changed the plants as they've grown. This shelf is a more rustic style, but you can also get a cute modern one like this. Again, I'm going in with some plants, both potted and also water propagations. To complement the plants, I'm going in with some planty books and art, as well as some candles and ceramics again. Like with the first shelf, I change this all the time. This might be because I get a new plant, one that's on there has outgrown the space, or because I've got new water propagations. This shelf is in the background in a lot of my videos, and I'm sure if you follow me, you've noticed that it's always changing. Let's go through some of the different methods I use to style and support my houseplants. We are starting off strong with the bendy cocoa coir pole. I am obsessed with these and have about 10 now in different sizes. They are such a great way to help your plants climb and also provide some much needed support as well. I prefer the bendy over the standard cocoa coir pole because you can make them into these really cute shapes. Here I'm staking my Philodendron Brazil, and I'm going to wrap her around the pole. I do this so that the plant's leaves are going to keep growing bigger and because I just think it looks really cute. To secure her to the pole, I'm going in just with some string. I secure the plant to the pole, but make sure it is not too tight. You can bend these poles into any shape that you like, and you can change it as the plant changes as well. These ones aren't hollow like some other cocoa coir poles are, so you can't pour water down the middle. I water my plants as normal for the soil, but I do miss the pole as well. Your plant's roots and nodes aren't going to grow into this pole the same way they do with a moss pole, but they do still cling to it and wrap around it a little bit, so I like to keep it moist. Misting helps to increase the humidity around your plant, and it will also help to deter some common house pests. As well as wrapping plants around your pole, you can also use it to stake top-heavy plants. This Monstera was not staying upright on her own anymore. Like most plant parents, I am putting off repotting, so I've opted to add a pole in the meantime. Again, I'm using one of the bendy poles. Although I'm going to use it more straight this time, I do like that it is thinner than some other cocoa coir poles and is more subtle in the plant. As I did with the philodendron, I'm going to push the pole into the soil and then secure the plant to the pole using string. I find this method provides plenty of support for a plant of this size, and I also like to mist this one down as well. Monsteras are a tropical plant, so do love the extra moisture. I did end up bending this top bit back down so it doesn't stick out the top of my plant. I think it looks so cute and subtle and has helped to stabilize my plant. Next, let's look at styling some different trellis options. First up, I've got this cute acrylic honeycomb style one, which I'm popping into my Philodendron Pink Princess. Adding supports like this one to your plant helps your leaves grow bigger. This is because your plant isn't using its energy to grow upwards. Instead, it can focus on growing big, beautiful leaves. As well as propping up leaves, I also use trellises for any plants that I've just repotted. They are a really great way to stabilize any plants that might be moving a bit still. Or, like with the Monstera, they can be a great way to prop up some top-heavy plants. This Palea was leaning after a repot as well, so adding this trellis really helped to support her. Most of the time, you can barely even see the trellises once they're in the plant, but that doesn't stop me from buying cute ones. You can also opt for a trellis if you've got a long trailing plant like this. This Monstera siltepecana was really just getting too long, and although I'm usually one for the chop, I decided to style this one a little differently. I opted for another circle trellis and wrapped the vines around the circle. I ended up with this wreath looking display, and I think it looks so cute and fairly unique. This is definitely a great way to tame a plant which is growing out of control, especially for those of you a bit nervous for a chop and prop. We're not going through any moss poles today because I don't really like using them. Whilst they do work well, I don't think they look very good. Remember that you can style your plants however you like. You're the one who's going to be looking at them. To me, having something that is cute and functional is best. Happy planting! If you're anything like me and love fresh herbs for your food, but your outdoor herbs look like this, it might be time to get a hydro setup. The system that I've chosen comes with a grow light, so I can pop it in this dark cubby. This was super easy to set up, and I'm going to try 2 different methods for my herbs. The first is to transfer them across from the soil with their roots intact, and the second is to take cuttings of basil to try and root them in the water. This system also has all the accessories you need to grow from seed. So I'm going to look into doing that next once I've eaten all these herbs. Once it's all set up, it's really easy to control manually, and they also have an app that you can use. I immediately started using herbs on all my meals, and I'm really excited to see how this lasts. Let me know what herbs you would choose to grow. My balcony garden is basically a Monstera garden, and whilst I do have some natives out here, majority of the plants have a higher watering need. For the Monstera and Bird of Paradise I have inside my home, they get a weekly water, but these ones get the full afternoon sun, so a daily watering is needed. I also travel pretty frequently, and if it hasn't rained, these plants can go for weeks without watering. To combat this, I am setting up a DIY irrigation system, and this one is from Rainpoint. You can set it up via the app to water automatically, or you can press the button for a manual option. This was super easy to set up, and now I need one for my indoor plant babies.